Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory be unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakar Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that rule well. Peace, salutations, and blessings be unto the hopeful elect, pushing his truth in sincerity throughout the four corners of the globe, in the sincere hopes of being delivered in these last days. All right, this is the brother Yakanan from the GMS England branch. As you can see, this is going to be another in transit video. Lord willing, it'll be edifying unto you brothers out there and few sisters listening and also learning. All right, and you know, throughout the course of today, I've been seeing a lot of fours. You know, I've been seeing a hell of a lot of fours. You know, quadruple four, triple four, 144. You know, in many different instances, and I was watching a video earlier. Well, I was watching a few videos earlier. Akim and elders have made videos concerning this so-called comedian, that goes by the name of I believe his name is Drewski. Dude ain't talented, at all. He's not funny. I've seen a few of his videos on YouTube and whatnot. But obviously, this is an individual that has a deal. He has a package. And in his recent folly, he's mocking, the prophets. All right, he's mocking the Hebrew Israelites. All right, not knowing that himself, is a Hebrew Israelite. He is a wicked, Hebrew Israelite that's going to be destroyed in these last days. All right, that's where he fits into the equation, okay? But it just shows you, how foolish our people are, all right? Mocking their own heritage and mocking, ultimately, the scriptures and the words of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, okay? Not knowing that, we're living in the end of Esau Edom's kingdom, and the end of Babylon the Great, which is America, where he resides, okay? But that's cool though, because as it tells us in, Hosea chapter 4 and verse 6, okay, our people have a lack of knowledge of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, and because they have a lack of knowledge concerning Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, they have no fear of the Lord, okay? And that's the only reason you would do something so stupid, is because you don't fear Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, right? Because if you truly feared the Lord, right, you wouldn't form yourself to do such antics and to mock, the men on the highways and the byways that are preaching this word, okay? Now, to be more specific, I believe he was mocking, the IUIC, all right? Because there was a clip that I see where he was, dressed up in all purple, right? And we all know, the purple crew and who embodies that color right now. And, as a whole, the IUIC is going off, all right? They're going off on various parts, of the doctrine. And, you're going to have, as we always mention, you're going to have men that are sincere in that, in that group. And if the men, are indeed of the elect, they'll find themselves out of that darkness, all right? And they'll gravitate towards, the true understanding of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, all right? As the scripture says, my sheep hear my voice, I know them, and they follow me, all right? So ultimately, anyone that is of the stock of Yahweh Shai, they're going to find their way to Yahweh Shai. Right, they're going to hear his voice, and they're going to take heed to the pure doctrine of Yahweh Shai, and they're going to follow that. All right. I myself, used to listen to IUIC many years ago, all right, going on back, back to 2011, okay? But, things just weren't adding up. And it's only when I came across the apostles, that's when everything made sense, all right? So that was, that was my calling, all right? I heard the pure doctrine as spoken by, the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. And from that day forward, I never tuned into IUIC ever again. So Lord willing, I believe I'm of the elect. Okay, Lord willing, and that's why we brand ourselves, the hopeful elect, because that's our hope. Okay, but concerning this Drewski cat, okay, he's going to be destroyed. All right, because the Lord is not mocked. Okay, so you've basically cemented your demise. You cemented your judgment in these last days, and that's how you know that the Lord, it's the Lord that puts the spirit on individuals to do these things, man, because he's going to be made an example of. Okay, you've been set up. All right, you've been set up by the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, to make a complete fool of yourself, and to despise, the word of the Lord. All right, because that's exactly what you're doing. You're despising the words of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. So as a result, you're going to be destroyed. You're going to be destroyed for your mocking. You're going to be destroyed for despising the words of the Lord, and taking this thing for folly. All right, so the Lord is going to make an example, a public example of that cat, Drewski. Okay, so this is nothing more, than the power of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai manifesting in these last days. Okay, and lining people up, for their judgment. Because as the scriptures also tell us, you can do nothing against this truth, but for the truth. Okay, so you're only going to bring more light, all right, to the cause, all right? And those that need to hear and see, will see it. Some for their sealment, and for deliverance, and others for their destruction, all right? Because you're going to have people on the commentaries mocking, LOL, smiley emoji, LMAO, okay, all of that crap. But every idle word shall be taken into account, okay? That includes online. So you can mock, but a lot of people are getting sealed for judgment through the act that he done and taking part in the mocking and the folly. All right, so anyone that left an idle word or left a comment, mocking and laughing, hey, the angels are watching. The angels are recording, all of your thoughts, and the angels are recording all of your actions. Okay, so hey, it's the Lord cementing judgment for a mass multitude of people, and on this occasion, he's chosen to use this clown, Drewski. Okay, so man, people are getting sealed for judgment. Okay, people are getting sealed for judgment in these last days, man. So another thing I wanted to mention was our expectations being in this ministry, being in this truth, going out there on the highways and the byways, our hope, because the scriptures, say that we're, prisoners of hope. All right. So in these last days, we're hoping for all of these prophecies, to be fulfilled in these end days. All right. And we're seeing the signs. All right. We're seeing the signs of these prophecies being fulfilled. We're measuring the time diligently as pursuant to 2 Ezra, the 9th chapter. And we're seeing that, hey, the Lord is making good on his word. Okay, so our expectation is that Babylon the Great, which is America, is going to be destroyed by thermonuclear war, as pursuant to Isaiah chapter 9 and verse 5. We expect that to happen. Okay, that's our hope, and that's our great confidence in the Holy Scriptures, is that World War III is going to manifest in these last days. Jacob's trouble is going to continue to heat up. It's going to continue to worsen. Judgment of Jake is going to continue to to heat up in these last days. These are our expectations. The MOTB system is going to continue to flourish and to be established upon the earth. Okay, we're seeing it happen right before our eyes. We're seeing how they're transforming the grid into a cyber prison. Okay, this is all biblical prophecy that we're talking about, and these are the expectations that we've been talking about, beginning with Elder Apostle on down for decades. Okay, but now you're seeing these things manifest and materialize in society. That's prophecy. That's the power of saying before. Okay, the words of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua manifesting upon the earth in these last days. These are our expectations. Our expectation is that Jacob's trouble is going to continue to heighten and get worse and get more gory, get more bloody. Okay, our expectation is that the MOTB, Revelation 13 and 16, is going to be made mandatory upon the earth. Okay, our expectation is that after these things are concluded, World War III, okay, in its rawest form, all right, because really it's already started, but on a totally carnal and physical level, it's going to manifest to the point where ICBM missiles are going to be shot from one end of the earth onto the other, pelting Babylon the Great, which is America, into annihilation. Okay, and all of the nations are going to shoot their arrows at Babylon the Great, as it's written in Jeremiah, the 50th chapter, 51. All right, it tells us that all of these nations are going to shoot all of their arrows, and them arrows are the ICBM missiles, and they're going to pelt and destroy Babylon the Great. This is biblical prophecy, man. Them arrows are going to be shot. And our expectation, all right, is that Yahweh Shai is going to come back in the midst of that. And then the world powers, you know, the world forces, okay, are going to come against Yahweh Shai, and they're going to be confounded. They're going to be destroyed as pursuant to 2nd Ezra, the 13th chapter. Okay? And then from that point on, this kingdom has been conquered by Yahweh Shai. All right? And that's where you have a whole new regime upon the earth. A whole new righteous regime is going to be upon the earth from that point forward, man. And then you nations outside of the nation of Israel, okay, our enemies, as outlined in Psalms the 83rd chapter, you are going to be rounded up and you are going to be enslaved. Okay? You are going to be put into captivity. You're going to be put into hardcore bondage, hardcore slavery. You're going to be put to work. Okay? You're going to catch pure hell in the kingdom of heaven. You are going to help build our kingdom. All right? Well, not help. You are going to build the kingdom of heaven. Okay? Through your labor, through your blood, sweat, and tears, the kingdom of heaven is going to be built. Okay? Just like how you had us in slavery. All right? Every nation, you know, upon the earth outside of the nation of Israel at some point has had our people in slavery, has had our people in subjection. Well, it's going to be your turn now. You're going to build the kingdom of heaven. Okay? Through your blood, sweat, and tears, the kingdom of heaven is going to be built, and it's going to be a perfect kingdom. All right? And it's going to be built to perfection. All right? And then after that period of time, you know, that 1,000 years, when you've served your time, you're going to be given your land back. Okay? And you're going to follow the laws, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, but the nation of Esau Edom is going to be done away with. Okay? This is all biblical prophecy. All right? Read Obadiah. Okay? This is the times that we're heading into upon the earth. The scriptures speak about a transition period. I believe it's 2nd Ezra chapter 8 and verse 10, or 10 and 8. I always get them confused. But we're now witnessing a transition of kingdoms upon the earth. Okay? That's what we're witnessing right now upon the earth, is a transition of kingdoms. All right? So you're witnessing the downfall of Esau Edom. All right, the demise of Esau Edom, and then the rise of, you know, the Israelites, you Negroes, Hispanics, and Native American Indians, beginning with the elect. their demise is our rise, as I like to say. All right. So these are our expectations in these last days, man. And these expectations are going to be fulfilled. All right. So with that, Lord willing, this lesson has been edifying. And until next time, I'll say shalom.